After earning his first trip to the Pro Bowl, the Commanders are hoping to keep Daron Payne here for next season and beyond after exercising the franchise tag. Carson Wentz's tenure in D.C. is over. After one season, the team released the former second overall pick, will project who will compete with Sam Howell this spring. Plus, the Combine is underway in Indianapolis, where Logan Paulsen has a front row seat. We'll ask him who he likes at 16 for the Commanders. Hey there, welcome into Command Center. I'm Bram Weinstein in for Julie Donaldson with Fred Smoot and Santana Moss. It's Combine Week. Anything you want to share?
You know what? It's no secret what happened to me at the Combine. Of course, I went there and I talked a lot, but I also did the bench press every bit of one good long time right there. But I told them they was here for a football player, not a bodybuilder.
How about you, Santana?
Mine was a breeze. You know, they was probably a bit pissed off with me just being I was one of those highly sorted out wide receivers from the University of Miami, and they expected to see me showcase my speed on that turf. But I said, wait one fast minute. I'll be doing this at my pro day.
You know what's interesting? I think they might be watching the guys doing one bench press this week. They're looking at your position at the Combine, right?
Yeah. At the end of the day, are you football strong or are you weight room strong? And the thing about me and Santana, we was at the same Combine. Yeah. We went the same year. We came out the same class, and we had some guys that showed up and ran 4.3s. Didn't last 2 years in the league. So it's a give and a take with the Combine.
Logan Paulsen is there. He's going to have a live report for us from Indianapolis. But first, let's stay right here with some of the news that's happening in and around D.C. with the Commanders. The first major move of the offseason was the decision to place the franchise tag on defensive tackle Daron Payne. He is the first player league-wide to get the tag. In 2022, he became a first-time Pro Bowl selection. He set a career high with 11.5 sacks. His 21 tackles for a loss was second among interior linemen in the NFL this year. Washington has until mid-July to try to negotiate a long-term deal with Payne. Outside of the tag, here's a look at some of the notable transactions that have been made by the Commanders so far this offseason. The team did release a pair of veterans, quarterback Carson Wentz, safety Bobby McCain. It helped clear up nearly $30 million in cap space. The team also did some depth re-signings, one-year contract extensions for a number of players, including 3 linebackers, David Mayo, Milo Eifler, Nate Gary. Time for our mission debrief. It's brought to you by the Washington Times. We'll have more on Wentz in a bit. We'll talk about the quarterbacks in general. Let's start with Daron Payne. What did you make of the tag?
This is what a tag is to me. It's like when you're married and you're in a relationship and you got to go see counseling. You're almost at the end right now. This is the last-ditch effort to save this relationship and make it strong. But at the end of the day, we did this with Kirk Cousins. We did this with Brandon Sheriff. I just think when you draft well, you cannot plan to resign that entire room. So I thought this was the best thing to do when it came to run.
Those other two did not work out in a long-term deal. I think this situation's a little bit different, though, right?
I think it's not so different. I think the only different thing about this one, he actually wants to be here.
Yeah. Okay. What do you make of Payne?
But just to be honest with you, we can't keep all those guys. We drafted so well to where if those guys, basically played up to expectations, sooner or later we're gonna have to say if we didn't win at that given time that those draft picks was here, then we lost. These guys, they deserve better pay. They deserve what they're gonna probably be potentially what Daron Payne show you he's worth right now. And quite frankly, we don't have the money for that. Our team has other needs.
And last time, Bram, 2 interior players made over $50 million. It was Warren Sapp and Booger McFarland at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They managed to get 1 Super Bowl out of that team. I just don't see people doing it. They're prone to pay the edges before they prone and play the interior guy.
You're going to wait out Chase Young to find out what the health is with him. And then Montez Sweat, this has been kind of a simmering story here. He's entering the final year of his contract too, so there's a lot of decisions that need to be made as well. All right, as for Bobby McCain being released, boy, it seems to show a lot of confidence in the young safeties.
Well, you got Forrest, you got Butler that showed us, especially that last game of the season, that he can really go out here and be called upon and answer. So when you saw McCain, I think it was a down year for him. He played well. He didn't play as well as he played the year before, so he was expendable.
He was versatile for them.
Yeah,
he
was versatile. And then at times he tried to make him cover too much, I think.
Swiss Army knife, but losing the step. But I think he was out there more for his leadership. He was out there more for his communication skills, and that's what they're going to have to replace. Like Percy Butler is one of those guys play 100 miles per hour, not thinking all the time. He needs somebody to slow him down and talk to him. So I look for them in the offseason to sign a veteran presence back there with those defensive backs.
Okay, so where's the focus go next? They've done some of their business here. Payne is at least in tow for this season. We'll see beyond. There are holes, offensive line, linebacker, corner. What do you think the focus is?
Fat boys, if you don't smell like bacon, I don't want you. I want guys that's 300 pounds that can move people. I want people that kick people out the club. It has to be the offensive line, and it has to be the linebackers.
Yeah, I got to second that. I think offensive line is probably top priority. We're going to look at linebackers next, and then cornerbacks. Cornerbacks should be bottom of the list, but those two positions, offensive line and linebacker, to me, I think those are key for your offense and your defense.
Free agency or the draft?
I need to live both with the linebackers. I need an older linebacker because I need a leader.
Yep.
Then I need some youth to incorporate into that. So I want to get a little bit of everything.
Okay, there's one other position, obviously, that's going to be addressed. Sam Howell is likely to at least compete for the starting job, but there is no other quarterback under contract. So here's what's happening. Quarterback Carson Wentz has been released. Former second overall pick sidelined with a broken finger. You'll recall that was suffered in the Week 6 win over the Bears. He was acquired from the Colts last offseason, ended up only playing 8 games for the Commanders, completed just over 62% of his passes, 1,755 yards, 11 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. And it also means the Commanders will have yet another quarterback under center for their season opener. Dating back to 2017, Washington has had 6 different starting quarterbacks in their openers. Sam Howell got the start of course, in the season finale against the Cowboys. He'll get a chance, and let me emphasize, chance to compete for the starting position going forward.
He played a lot in the preseason. That was something we did on purpose. We wanted to see him because we liked him that much. During the season, when you watch the practice tape and he just had some moments that just showed you, he's done a really good job, and then getting the opportunity against Dallas. I thought he came out and played the type of game that you're looking for as far as the quarterback's concerned. He's got a tremendous skill set, got a good arm, the kind of arm that you do look for. That's one of the things. And again, he's not our starter. He's coming in as a QB1. He'll get a great opportunity to be our starter. But we do want to find a veteran quarterback. We have Taylor Heineke, that's a free agent, that we've got to work through that as well. And then we'll see what happens from there.
The kid just has something about it, but you always want to create competition to bring the very best out of each player. So do I think Sam has an opportunity to be the number one guy? Yes, he does. But you want to create a competitive environment so nobody's taking anything for granted. Because when it's all said and done, we want to make sure that our guys are being at their best when their best is needed.
Sam will have every opportunity to win that starting job. Was very impressed with the way that he played in practice last year. Obviously, very small sample. He only played in one game, but we got to see him the whole offseason. We got to see him all through training camp, every week in practice. He has the skills that it takes to be a starter in this league, in my opinion.
Okay, he is not the starter. They have emphasized this over and over. He'll be in a competition. Let's start quickly with Carson Wentz. It was 1 year. It didn't go as anyone had expected, and I don't think this is a surprise that he was released.
I was hoping, praying. I was praying for the best. I wanted to see the old Carson Wentz. I wanted to see that first year, second year Carson Wentz, and unfortunately it didn't happen. But we had to move on. I was pissed off how things transpired late in the season by trying to play him again, just
reinsert him,
trying to prove a point and say that he might have a chance to play here. But hey, that's done. You can't cry with spilled milk. You got to move on.
And then moving on to Sam Howell.
Yes.
What do you make of the situation now as he's going to be given an opportunity to compete against fill in the blank? We don't know who the competition is.
That means they just don't want to hand it to him, and I respect it. Make him come here and earn it. And you just can't make him earn it by saying, I want to see what you want to do on the field. You're going to bring in another veteran to push him. You're going to bring in somebody that's been here, done that, that can help him when he gets in these situations. DC, listen to me when I say this. This kid has Tony Romo characteristics. The way he get elusive in the pocket, the way he has the arm strength to push the ball down the field, the way he's not the fastest guy, but he can run with his feet and make plays. I think if we nurture him, we love on him, and Airbnb and scope this offense with these wide receivers and these tight ends, he can make plays.
What do you make of Howell and his opportunity here?
I'm not sure if I could say he's Tony Romo-like, but I was excited to see what I saw with him, the little sample size we got in the preseason last year, and I thought we were going to see a little more of that throughout the season earlier. Especially when things transpired with Wentz. I thought we would give the young guy a shot. Say, hey, I understand what we have with Heineke. we've known the Heineke situation for years now. We've seen that rodeo. So I was looking forward to seeing Sam earlier. It didn't happen that way. Heineke got on the road. We played well. So I think he has the intangibles for us to, give him a chance to go out there and be the starter. But I do believe we're going to bring somebody in here, Teddy Bridgewater type or Brissett type, one of those type of guys. I'm not saying those guys in particular, but somebody with that kind of caliber, that can come in here and compete against them.
Age, experience, price point. We're not talking about Derek Carr.
No, we're not.
Right?
No, we're not doing Aaron Rodgers. We're not talking about any high price older player. We're talking about a teacher. It's just like having Hazlitt on the Miami Heat. He's a teacher. He's a galvanizer. You're going to bring somebody here to give Sam Howell an education on how to play quarterback. Yes, Sam Howell an education on how not to get fired. All right? And that's simple. Take care of the ball. And that's what he needs to do. And we're going to have to give him an O-line to prove it. Because if we don't give him an O-line to prove it, it ain't going to be fair to him and nobody else.
How about Eric Bieniemy? How does he fit into all of this right now?
I think he's got to be himself. One of the things I like about having Eric Bieniemy, folks want to get on about how many plays he called or not over there in KC. Well, you got to ask the same questions with those guys who
Doug
left,
Peterson and the rest of them.
who left before him, and then the guys like Mike McDaniels who went over to the Dolphins, and those guys like Matt LaFleur and those guys, and so I played amongst a bunch of guys who had those same opportunities. But having a guy like Bieniemy here with us now, he had to be a sponge for so many years.
Yeah,
I want to see what now he can do over here with us with his own game plan.
Fred thinks that Sam could be Tony Romo. I'm hoping he'll be Pat Mahomes. Speaking of, he had a tweet in support of his ex-coach Eric Bieniemy by saying there should be no questions on how great of a man Coach Bieniemy is. His leadership has a direct impact on the player person I am today. 10 plus years learning under one of the greatest coaches of all time, and I cannot wait for him to continue to prove doubters wrong. We echo the sentiment. Here are how some of the Commanders reacted to the hiring.
It's exciting to bring a guy in like him with his pedigree and his championships on his finger. You know what I mean? I think that's something that we all want and we all strive for each and every day. And I think him leading the way that he has with the relationships, but also his expectations is extremely important and clear. And I think that's going to help the group of guys that we have to take the next step that we need to take this offense to another level.
It's really cool, Coach Bieniemy coming from a guy like Patrick Mahomes, who's arguably the best quarterback in the league, and being able to work with such a talented guy like Sam, you just can't wait to see how he's going to flourish in his system and make the plays that we know he can make. So I'm really excited for him. I'm really excited for the guys in the room. I'm really excited for myself, and can't wait for the opportunity.
Coming up, we head to Indianapolis, home of the Combine, where Logan Paulsen is standing by to discuss this year's prospects and who he thinks the Commanders should keep an eye on. And become a 2023 Commanders season ticket member today. Claim your place at FedEx Field for 2023, starting at just $50. Commanders season tickets includes more benefits than ever before, new year-round events tailored to you, 50% off game day concessions, and more. Get the details and place your season ticket deposit at commanders.com/season ticket. Welcome back to Command Center. Drive to the Draft is presented by Kia, movement that inspires. Logan Paulsen joins us now from Indianapolis at the Combine. Today's a good day to speak with you. Almost every mock draft that I read has Washington locked in at 16 on a defensive back or an offensive lineman, and the corners were working out today. So what did you see and hear from that position group?
Yeah, the quarterbacks did their interviews today, and I think it's been not so much what they said in the interviews, but it's what we learned last night when we were out kind of talking to the coaches, talking to the scouts. It seems like Christian Gonzalez is the guy that's going to be kind of in that top 10 pick. There's a little bit concern about Merriweather's height, weight. I love his film better. If he was there at 16, I'd say lock that in 100%. But obviously, everyone's got their flavor of the month.
Okay, so 16, do you feel like defensive back, after what you've seen and heard, seems like a likely outcome for Washington?
It does seem like a likely outcome if one of those guys were to fall. I don't think they will. Obviously the next guy is Joey Porter Jr., very talented, more of a man fit kind of guy, not a true scheme fit for this cover 3 that Washington likes to run. So I think if that's the option, maybe think about trading back.
Okay, so we'll keep an eye on defensive back. How about offensive line? Obviously, that's a need as well. Maybe addressed in free agency, maybe addressed early in the draft. What are you thinking at 16 in terms of offensive linemen?
Yeah, I mean, really the guy that everyone is kind of talking about is Peter Skoronski. He is outstanding from Northwestern. He's super talented. Obviously, there's some size concerns. Technician, if he were to follow you at 16, he can play guard, tackle, center. That's the guy that I got my eyes on. Obviously, Broderick Jones is the guy that we're getting a lot of mock to. Tremendous athlete, but very, very raw. So again, in that situation, if one of those guys isn't available, trade back. Look at a Darnell Wright. Look at a Dwayne Jones. Those other guys, very, very talented, true tackles.
How about interior offensive line? Do you think that that's a possibility for a straight guard, center, or strictly a guard at 16?
Yeah, that's really interesting, man. I'm glad you asked that. The guy that has kind of been in circulation is the big guard from Florida, but a guy that came up in the conversations last night was Tillman, the center guard out of Wisconsin, a guy that nobody's talking about, but obviously the NFL community is really excited about.
Okay, the other spot that obviously is of need and might get addressed in free agency and might get addressed in the draft, or potentially both, is linebacker, where there's no clear-cut starter on this roster outside of Jamin Davis. So from your point of view of the linebackers who are going to be working out tonight, what do you see from that draft class?
Yeah, this is kind of a really fun group. There's a guy like Jack Campbell, who's maybe the most linebacker of all time. He's 6'5", 245 pounds, but for a guy like him today, how's he going to run? He's a little tight in the hips, and can he kind of match some athletic qualities to that tremendous football intuition? Then you got a guy like the kid from Washington State who played receiver for a couple of years, tremendous athlete, but how does that intuition hold up? So there's kind of all these cool storylines around these guys.
Do you think linebacker is a possibility early in the draft for them?
You know, I don't think so. I think there's the needed offensive line, the needed corner. As long as they're not addressing that in free agency, I think the linebacker thing will kind of address itself later in the draft. And I think there's enough talent, enough kind of upside players that you feel good about it.
Logan Paulsen at the Combine in Indianapolis. Thanks, Logan.
Thanks, Bram. Appreciate it.
The Combine will continue this weekend, and so will our coverage from Indianapolis. Make sure to visit the team website and YouTube channel for all the latest from this year's group of draft prospects. Still to come here, in honor of Black History Month coming to a close, we take a look at the team's recent trip to the National Museum of African American History and Culture. Plus, get ahead of the game. Secure your luxury suite for the 2023 season. Enjoy gourmet catering options, VIP parking, and more for you and your guests. Learn more and place your suite deposit for the 2023 season at commanders.com/suites. Welcome back to Command Center. As the calendar flips to March, we wanted to take one more chance to honor Black History Month. In February, several members of the team and staff were given a tour of the National Museum of African American History and Culture located on the National Mall. Here's a look at their experience. This is our Field Pass, presented by FedEx, where now meets next.
This is a very special place. In the 7 years that we've been open, we've welcomed almost 9 million visitors through these doors. We're having a tremendous impact, not only here in America, but across the world.
Black history is something that was important to my family, and me growing up, the history and education of it. Today showed me that you can always get educated more and learn more.
It means a lot to be part of history, you know, just trying to build on that, you know, in a positive way. And just seeing that, like, you know, give you motivation to keep going, keeping the legacy alive.
Such a great tour. The Black culture so rich in history. The beginning was so important just because, you know, you realize and get to know that, you know, black people, Black culture didn't start with slavery. Just to follow our journey up until now was super special, and so many great things accomplished and great people that we got to learn about here and got to see.
It's an amazing experience. I know you had a chance to go through it.
Oh, yeah. And beyond just the African-American experience there, the one thing I can say I love about the city of Washington, D.C., the whole city is one big history trip. Yeah. Every time you walk down 7th Street or 10th Street, it's a piece of history there, and that's why I love Washington, D.C. as a whole.
All right, let's talk about some top storylines from the league here. The Bears, they could auction off the #1 pick, or they could trade Justin Fields, and it seems like right now they're going to stick with Fields. So what do you make of that?
Stick with Fields. I mean, I understand what guys want to see, but you auction off Fields and then say I'm going to go pick another quarterback at that, or however they want to do it. You know, I heard so many different examples of how they should do it. Fields, I think he has a high ceiling.
Trade down.
Yeah.
Get players. You need players.
Exactly.
Trade down.
Fred, have you ever been in a darkness retreat like Aaron Rodgers?
Well, I did grow up in Mississippi. I grew up in a darkness retreat. So, but I don't need to go to a darkness retreat to make my mind up on a serious decision.
Lord.
I understand what he was saying, and I truly do believe in mental health. And I also believe in if you really do need that mental time, go do it yourself. I think he put it out there, and he shouldn't have put it
mental
out there.
health or not, Green Bay need to say, hey, bro, it was fun, and we're going to let you do what
Relationship
you do.
has ran its course.
I swear, man, it's enough.
What happens with Lamar Jackson? Do you think he's going to stay with the Ravens?
I just told him, I think Atlanta, Georgia, Atlanta Falcons, put him with Kyle Pitts and Drake London and a fresh start. I think it works, but Baltimore doesn't make these mistakes. They don't let franchise players go.
Yeah, I see him staying here. I think they're going to make right. He's going to understand that, hey, that guaranteed money isn't what it all,
cracked up
to be, but he deserves something, and he deserves what he's worth.
What's the line in the sand? He clearly wants this money, and clearly we're at this point because the Ravens don't want to guarantee.
Get representation that's going to be that understands what's going on.
That's what negotiating is. I want this, you want to give me this, and we got to meet halfway in the middle. So I say right at $250, give him like $170 guaranteed. I think that should work.
I say he just need to get somebody that's going to understand what's going on and be able to do the job for him.
Real quick, Derek Carr ends up playing for who?
New York Jets.
Yep.
I second that.
New York Jets?
Yeah,
all
New
right.
York Jets.
See how it all works out. For Fred and Santana, I'm Bram Weinstein. Thanks for watching Command Center. We'll see you next time.